Hey YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tia and I talk about my life living in Italy as an American girl, amongst other things. And as you can tell from the title, in today's video I'm going to be talking about how much I pay to live in Italy's most expensive city. I've never gone in depth into how much I pay for everything and what the average cost of something is and how you can save money on something. I'm going to be telling you guys everything that I pay to live in Milan. How did I get these numbers? Actually, me and Enrico use a bill splitting app on our phones called Splitwise. This is not sponsored. I mean, I wish it was, but it's not. So we use this app to input all of the expenses that we pay into the house. It's really useful, not just for if you're living with somebody, but also if you go on vacation with friends. Maybe you get the bill for something and somebody else gets the bill for something else. And the app will make sure that, everything is all, leveled up, and if you pay for something, this is what the other people owe you, and then they'll probably pay for something else, and so now this is what the balance is. It's a really good app for that. But also in terms of data, we have 2 years worth of bill paying data so that I can take all the numbers and actually tell you guys what we pay on average, what we pay per month, how much it costs for a year to live here. So it's really quite useful. You guys know I love Excel sheets, so I exported the data into a nice little Excel. In specific, I made Excel sheets for the rent, the internet, utilities, grocery, and my costs as an individual person, because there are bills we split like rent, and then there are other bills like my transportation card that I obviously pay for by myself. So going right into it, let's talk about the biggest expense of all, which is rent. My rent with Enrico is 800 euros, so we each pay 400 euros. And inside that 400 euros is also 25 euros of spese condominiali, or condominium fees, which go to paying the portinaia, the door person if you have a door person, the upkeep of the courtyard if you have a courtyard. All the costs of the house are added to your rent. So 800 euros of rent, really it's 750 euros of rent plus 50 euros of spese condominiali. How do we get away with paying so little for our house? If you guys want to see what 800 euros can get you in Milan, check out my house tour that I did when we first moved in 2 years ago. We live in a 70 square foot apartment where 20 square feet are for a balcony and 50 square feet are for our 2-room. So it's a 1-bedroom, 1 bathroom, and then kitchen / living areas where I'm in right now. Really, the way we saved money was, first of all, we weren't looking in the center. Me and Enrico live literally on the edge of the city, but still in the city. And we live near a metro stop, which really makes all the difference. I think that you can venture out to the edges of Milan so long as you live near a metro stop, because with the metro I can be at Duomo in 20 minutes. From my door closes to when I step into Piazza Duomo is 20 minutes, and I felt like that was fine. If you can sacrifice proximity to the center a little bit, make a little bit of compromise on that, you'll save a lot more, because when you live more on the outskirts, the prices are anywhere from 700, 750 up to 900. I feel like those are a lot more manageable than if you were to live in the center where you're gonna find things for at least 1,200, 1,300 euros a month. It all depends on your personal taste. In Milan, you can definitely get something really, really nice for paying more, or you can compromise on certain things. Like I said, we decided to compromise on proximity to the center so that you can pay a little bit less and still have a decent apartment to live in. So cost of the house is 800, with each of us paying 400 euros. Internet is something that, is indispensable for me, for my job, for everything I do. I need internet, and I need fast internet. When we first moved here, we had fast web, and they didn't have the fiber optic internet in our area. So we were paying something like a little bit less than 30 euros a month. Actually, I can look at it right now. We were paying Actually, we were paying a lot. Oh my God. We were paying 40 euros a month. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, we were paying 40 euros a month to FastWeb to have really slow internet. For me to upload a 5-minute video onto YouTube, I kid you not, it took 2 to 3 hours. Insane. So then we switched to Tim, and just because I don't like FastWeb that much, Doesn't mean I love Tim. For different reasons, me and Tim are not exactly friends, but they had the fiber optic in our area, so we switched to them, and now we pay 35 euros a month, 35 more or less, which works out to be around 17 something for each of us. And we have the fiber optic Wi-Fi, which allows me to upload my videos in like 5-10 minutes. Plus, we also have Tim Vision, which they kind of just threw in there. They're always trying to throw in stuff to make you pay extra, but I said okay to Tim Vision because they had Handmaid's Tale, and so it's a service that I actually do use from time to time. Then we move on to utilities. How utilities work in Milan is every 3 months you get like a light bill or a gas bill, and you don't usually get them the same month, but the way I worked it out, I wanted to see how much I paid. If I took the total cost and divided it by 12, how much am I paying for utilities? And it worked out that last year in 2018, we were paying 80 euros a month for utilities, so 40 euros each, light and gas. And in 2019, we're paying 97, and I'll explain why. So first of all, you might, I don't know, 40 euros. I never had an apartment on my own in the States to know what we were paying for energy. I know that energy in the States is relatively less expensive than in Europe because in the States, you know, we produce most of our own energy, whereas in Italy, they buy energy from other countries. So energy in Italy is more expensive than energy in the States, but personally, I don't feel like 40 euros is that much. And again, these are averages. There are some months in the winter months where we're paying way more because, you know, you're using the lights more often because it's dark out and the gas more often because it's cold out. Whereas in the summer when there's light all day and you're not using any gas, you basically pay nothing. So I thought that 80 euros, so 40 euros each a month for utilities wasn't that bad. So why are we paying 97 euros a month this month? Because there's this thing called the conguaglio in Italy, which I still don't really understand, where the utility company might not know exactly how much energy you're using, and so they estimate it. So maybe last year we used less than we actually used, and so you have to pay the difference, which is added on to what you're already paying, or something like that. So this month we got a really big conguaglio to pay, and not this month, this year we had a really big conguaglio to pay, and we're just getting out of the winter months. So if I divide the cost we've paid this year so far by just 6, it's a lot more. But I think that on average, we do end up paying 80. We pay 80. Moving right along to, I guess, my favorite expense, or at least my favorite expense when I see people's reactions, you know, because for me, it's totally normal. It's what I've been doing ever since I got here. And it's like, I don't spend a lot of money on food. I don't see why we have to spend a lot of money on food. We live in Italy. Food is high quality and it's cheap. So I think we should be taking advantage of that. I don't know. When I was in school living alone, I paid 20 euros a week for food on my groceries. And then now that me and Enrico are living together, I worked it out. I did all the math and we're paying about 25 euros a week for food. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. I don't know why, but for a lot of people, this is like mind-boggling. They can't believe it and they pay so much for food. I guess for one, we do shop at discount supermarkets like Esselunga and Lidl. They literally just opened a Lidl next to our house and it's like, because it's so cheap. Another thing is that we don't eat meat too often because you know how meat costs a lot. So we eat meat maybe once or twice a week and, you know, it's not the best, but a lot of the meat that we're eating is pork, which is like the least cost meat, you know, a lot of pasta matriciana. And yeah, that's all I can really think of. But really, we don't spend more than 25 euros a week. When I did like the average for 2018 and 2019 together to get like an even more complete picture, because you know the more data you include, the more accurate it is, we pay 68 euros a month for food. So those are like the big like household costs that we pay together. Then there are like the individual costs. One individual cost is my phone bill that I have with Tim. And basically, it could be a lot less, but what happens is when you have Tim for a while, they start adding in these little extra services, and since it's just €1 more, you're just like, okay, and you end up getting to a point where you're paying more, you could be paying less, but you don't really care because it's still kind of cheap. So I pay 15 euros a month to have like 1,000 minutes of call, some SMSs that I never use, and then the important part is like 5 gigabytes of data, but in the first gigabyte that you use, social media is free. So since I'm mostly using my gigabytes for social media, this ends up saving me a lot and allows me to not run out of using my data, but still not overpaying for too many gigabytes, you know? So 15 euros a month, I could probably adjust that and make it lower, but it's just, no, don't have the time to argue with them, honestly. Then we have transportation. Now, the public transportation is quite good in Milan. It's quite efficient, especially the subway. I live on the outskirts of town, but since I live near a subway, it's really easy for me to get to the center. It was always really easy for me, well, relatively easy. It still depends where your office is, but when I was working on the same line as where I live, it took me literally like, I don't know, 15 minutes to get to work every day, and it was beautiful. Since the public transportation works so well, you essentially get to choose if you actually need a car, and honestly, I don't. And so that saves you on car payments, car insurance, maintenance fees, parking. There are so many costs that I don't even have to worry about because I'm using the public transportation. And how much do I pay for this public transportation, you might ask? Well, there are two different rates. There's the regular rate, which is like 35 euros a month. And then there's the student or under 26 years old rate, which is 22 euros a month. So I've always paid that. I've been paying that. And with 22 euros a month, you have access to all of Milan's public transportation. So above ground, underground, tram, bus, any time of the day, any time of the night, full access, whatever. And actually, they have yearly subscriptions as well. And the yearly subscription price for the students is 200 euros a year. Now, when I was an actual student, I never had the money on hand to pay the actual yearly one, but now I do. And so this year I paid 200 euros a year, and it actually works out so that it's 16 euros and 67 cents a month. So either you can look at it as you're paying way less a month, or you can look at it as you actually get some months free if you pay the yearly abbonamento. So I found that that was much more useful, and public transportation is like 17 euros. So those are all of my costs that I pay. If I add them up, so phone bill, MetroPass, utilities, rent, internet, and groceries, my grand total of how much I spend to live in Milan is 542 euros and 11 cents, which works out to a yearly total of 6,505 euros and 28 cents. Now, of course, there are other costs, like I didn't talk about, going out to get a pair of TiVos. I didn't talk about vacations. I didn't talk about train tickets. Of course, those are added costs, but I think it works out decently with how much you make here. So what's the average salary in Milan if this is the average? Well, these are my costs because I'm cheap, I guess. Well, the average salary in Milan is anywhere from like 1,300 and 1,500. If you're like just entering the workforce, you're usually gonna make like between 1,000 and 1,300. And then your average pay for the average worker in Milan is 1,500. Now, there are people that make less, obviously, and there are people that make more. Personally, I work like a million jobs, so I am fortunate enough to be able to make more. And to make more than 1,500 euros a month and only have 550 euros of like fixed costs is very helpful. It means that I have like 1,000 euros or more to save or put towards other things. This is just a snapshot. This is just my reality. Of course, there are some people that have different exigencies, different needs. Maybe they need to pay more for rent because they want to live closer, or maybe they have this other fixed cost that I don't have to think about. I want to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you guys pay more than me? Do you guys pay less than me? I'm really curious because I feel like I'm not suffering, I feel like I'm living the average life. It would be one thing if I was starving myself to pay 20 euros a month. 20 euros a week for food, but I eat pretty well, like 2 squared meals and a brioche in the morning. I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm withholding myself from anything, and I pay this. So do you guys think this is normal? Do you guys not think this is normal? Do you have any tips on how you can save more? Because we're always looking on how to save money over here. But yeah, I hope that you guys found this video useful and helpful, informational. Maybe you're moving to the city and now you can get an idea of what, costs will be. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, you guys, I'll see you in my next one. Mwah.